Hey, my name's Ben Yenny, and I don't make movies, but I help filmmakers make money from their movies. So today, we are talking about distributing shorts. There are a lot of people who ask me how I can distribute shorts, or if I can, or if anyone does. And there are ways, but honestly, there will never be ways that are adequate to the amount of shorts that are produced every year. There just isn't a market for it. At least not a big enough one to make any short of any reasonable size really cost effective or profitable. And it really comes down to simple economics. You're a filmmaker, if you're watching this, I assume. If you're not, well, hey, thanks, but I'm not entirely sure why you're here. But as a filmmaker, you're more likely to interact with shorts and pay to see shorts than the average person. So ask yourself, how many shorts have you paid to see this year? The answer is probably not that many unless you go to a lot of film festivals. And even then, that money doesn't generally get back to the filmmaker. So finding meaningful distribution for shorts would require that there's somebody willing to pay to watch them. And enough somebody's willing to pay to watch them that you can move enough to actually make any significant amount of money from them. And unfortunately, that's not really the case. There are wider platform approaches which have been tried. Fandor is a notable example of it, but they also ended up declaring bankruptcy, I want to say around the end of 2018. It's a little difficult to see how shorts have a chance at getting distributed and making money. That's not to say they're not worth doing. It's just that you should be using your shorts in a different way than you would use a feature in terms of career growth and monetization. So here are the main ways you can use a short to help grow your indie film career. First, use it to build your brand and your skills. In the immortal words of Alex Ferrari of Indie Film Hustle, if you think you don't need a brand as a filmmaker, you're wrong. And shorts can help you develop that voice and help you grow into bigger roles on set. That's what I mean by growing your skills. If you're growing into a new role, it doesn't always make sense to do it on a feature when the stakes are much, much higher because the money involved is much, much greater. You can also help to build the beginnings of your community and really start to establish a name for yourself by getting out to film festivals. And you can use those festivals to grow your brand, your social media, and just in general try to get your name out there a little bit so that people will start to recognize your film. Granted, through film festivals, you're only likely to meet people who are real cinephiles and people who are very likely to seek out independent movies, but those are the people that you really want to have when you're starting out. Another thing you can do is use your short as a proof of concept for a feature. I bring this up because it has worked in the past. Sling Blade is a notable example where they just filmed Billy Bob Thornton doing a incredible monologue, and that ended up getting them the funds they needed to finance the feature version of the intellectual property. That is very much more the exception than the rule. If I'm totally honest, as an executive producer, I would not look at shorts as a way to build the value of your intellectual property. I think you'd be much better off following a path of making a web series and then trying to grow that to the point you can turn it into a more traditional TV series. In fact, episodic content in general is a safer bet than features in many ways. So third, you can try to sell it to a shorts program. There are places that still do shorts programs, one of which is, I think PBS is still doing a film school shorts program, but you do actually have to be in film school to apply for that. And there are a couple of other outlets for that, but even if you do make a little money off of it, I wouldn't expect to make a lot off of it, and unless you've made your short for practically nothing, it probably won't even cover your entire budget. But what it will do is help you build your brand, quite possibly even more than the festivals would have. Another thing you can do is put it up on Amazon Prime. Again, you wouldn't want to do this so much for money because Amazon only pays about 6 cents per hour viewed. So if your short's 10 minutes long, every time it's watched, you only get a penny. But there's a lot more value in having your film out there and available and maybe getting people to actually watch it. The real value isn't in that 1 penny per view you get. It's in the fact that it's available for people to see, and if you get enough people to watch it, you may get some level of new discovery by getting picked up into Amazon's algorithm. Now, with a short, I wouldn't say that's very likely. And honestly, Amazon has been getting a lot more restrictive about what they take than they used to be. But there's a place where anyone can post, and that's where you're watching this video right now. It's on YouTube. You can also put your short up here and put a lot of effort into promoting it. However, whether that's worth your time and energy as opposed to just trying to get everything together to make the next film is debatable. But another thing you can do here is use your short as a way to capture emails and a free giveaway to people who might want to join your email list, because if you're a filmmaker, you should be joining your email list. It's not quite as good as it used to be in terms of discoverability and staying in touch with your audience, no matter how social media changes, due to more aggressive filtering from platforms like Gmail and pretty much every mail platform. But it's still the best and most consistent way to stay in touch with your audience. I have an email list giveaway too. It's a free resource packet for marketing your independent film, as well as for working the American film market and any film market. You can find that link in the description. You can also find links to all of my other social media in case you want to follow it. I'll try not to plug any more until the end of the video. So the final thing you can really do to monetize shorts is to get all of your friends together, your filmmaker friends, license their shorts, and then try to sell all of those shorts as an anthology or a package. Now, this is still not an easy thing, and there's pretty much no traditional film distributor that will look to license these sorts of anthologies and sell them because, again, it's very difficult to find a market for them. The major retailers don't really buy them, and if you're doing an anthology, it's not very friendly to platforms and other forms of distribution like that. Or if you have another idea or a question of a small niche that might work, feel free to drop it in the comments and I'll try to respond to it. Also, I'm considering doing a little bit with shorts distribution. I'm going to drop a link to shorts to my submit form, where you can submit an early stage feature, a completed feature, or a completed short. And if you want to look at it, if you want to do that, I'll take a look at it as I can. The money for shorts would not be very much, and I'm not going to disclose exactly how I'd be using them, but it's something that might work. And I will say that any short I would license would be entirely non-exclusive. Features and early stage and completed features are very much exclusive because it's the only way I can actually make money for either of us with it. I think I'll actually end up making a video about why exclusivity is important, because there's a lot of people here on YouTube who think exclusivity is kind of a monopoly and don't really look at it the same way that industry people look at it. So on that note, thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. Please like and subscribe. It really does help a lot. And as I've alluded to several times, YouTube is not my full-time gig. It probably never will be. But, and if you find this content valuable, please consider dropping a few bucks into my Patreon. It's linked below. And other than that, see you next week.